post, tag, take pictures of the screen. They are at LV LaunchBox or hashtag LaunchBox. Use both. Of course, questions will be taken at the end of the program. You'll notice at the very bottom of your screen, there's a little Q&A box. Please feel free, as you think of questions, to enter them in there, and we'll do our best to get to as many as we can. And we're so glad that you're joining us today, so thank you. I'm going to now introduce Dr. Tina Richardson. She's the Chancellor of Penn State Lehigh Valley. She's been the Chancellor since 2015. Tina is involved in so many leadership initiatives throughout her career. She started at Lehigh University. She has a doctorate in counseling and psychology, so I know she's very acutely aware and interested in today's topic. She's won lots of leadership awards, and she serves on many boards. She's really the founder of LaunchBox Ladies. I've been pleased to work with her for several years now on this amazing initiative, and she is the recipient of the 2020 Women of Influence Award, and we are just pleased to have her host these wonderful events. So Dr. Richardson, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Ashley. I wanted to say hello to everyone who has decided to join us today. This is the third in a four-part series for LaunchBox Ladies, the virtual edition. Today, we're talking about how those in healthcare and wellness are navigating the new normal. Women are leading the way in the wellness industry, the rapidly growing area that's adding more than $4.7 trillion to the global economy each year. There is no other industry of this size that is heavily dominated by women. So we have every reason to celebrate as we talk about the women who are joining us today and how women are bolstering the business and their careers in this area. According to U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, nearly 80% of the healthcare field is comprised of women. And yet, fewer than 20% of the lead roles or the head leadership roles are occupied by women. Study after study tells us that this is in part due to gender-based obstacles like harassment and lower wages that plague the careers for women. But we are here today because we know that it is important to balance one's life and make sure that we are addressing the issues of health and wellness, especially during the pandemic that we're facing. Beyond our physical health, it's essential that we manage our mental and emotional health, as well as our spiritual and nutritional health as well. And so there are a lot of moving parts that we have to deal with in this global pandemic that we're facing. But LaunchBox Ladies wanted to address this issue by bolstering our network and enhancing the supports that we put around women who are continuously working in this healthcare field. Certainly, whatever resources of support that we can provide, we want to make sure we're doing that. The COVID-19 landscape has changed everything for all of us. And so I'd like to say thank you to our panelists for being with us today, and to turn the mic over to Ashley again so that we can introduce the panel and begin the program. But thank you for joining us.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tina. All right, so let's get started so we can hear from the panel, which is why you're all tuning in today. I'm going to get started with my good friend, Nancy Wertine from the Wisdom Coalition. I'm sure you've all watched Nancy for many years as an anchor and reporter with WFMZ Channel 69. She produces a daily health and wellness series called Life Lessons. She's the co-founder of the Wisdom Coalition, which has a weekly podcast, a television show, and the book, The Power of a Pivot. The Wisdom Coalition really helps people understand how to change their mindset so they can find more joy. And I can tell you, Nancy has not only been a friend, but a mentor, and she does live this message every day, and she will serve as our moderator today. So thank you, Nancy, for being here.
Well, thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Up next is Shonda Morales from the Beehive. Shonda is amazing. She is a women's mindful empowerment coach, author, speaker, and psychotherapist in private practice. She holds an MSW and an LCSW. She's the founder of the Beehive, a monthly online membership for ambitious women who want to step off the hamster wheel and play a bigger in 5 minutes a day. So I don't know, does that resonate with anyone out there? I think we can all relate to that one. Shonda is also an author in her own right with several books, Breathe Mama Breathe being one of them. We've had the pleasure of having her on our show, and she always helps keep us grounded. She does believe that when women empower themselves and create life balance, they unleash the capacity for incredible accomplishment. Shonda, so good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here with you.
Up next, we have Whitney Carullo. Whitney from Liven Up Fitness. She's the co-founder of Liven Up Fitness with her husband. She holds a BS in exercise science. She's been awarded the 40 Under 40 from Lehigh Valley Business, and their business has won Best of the Valley for 4 years straight. I can tell you that she does walk the talk. I have been in her gym many times. She has kicked my butt around, and she makes it attainable, desirable, and you feel empowered and strong after. She's really committed to helping everyone become the best possible version of themselves and spreading a healthy living message. So if you're getting the theme here, these are a lot of women who are aligned in our missions. So this is such a joy to have them all in one place. And so welcome.
Thanks, Ashley. I'm excited to be on here.
Whitney is also the mom of 2 small little girls and still does all this. So I want to throw that out there too. And last but certainly not least is our friend Sharon Frazier from Eat Well Consulting. You can see Sharon all over the Valley promoting a healthy lifestyle. She has her own business, Eat Well Consulting. It's a health and wellness company specializing in guiding individuals with type 2 diabetes to help restore their health naturally. She focuses with her clients on having a healthy, vibrant body and no longer being dependent on drugs. She's a certified health coach, certified transformation coach, and certified transformation coach method mastery coach. She has over 15 years in experience in health and wellness. She is always kind, always a joy, and always willing to help share the information of health and wellness. And you can just see her at events everywhere with a big smile. So we're so excited to have you here today, Sharon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really enjoying this.
Great.
Thanks.
Well, I'm going to now turn it over to Nancy, who will get through some discussion points with the panel. I do want to remind everybody, social media, Q&A, these go really, really well when people are interactive with the panel. So please give us your questions. And thank you all for tuning in. We're excited to have this today.
Well, thank you so much, Ashley. It's so nice to be here. And thank you to LaunchBox ladies for inviting me. If you're joining us today, I hope you're somewhere cool and comfortable, and I hope that you enjoy our program. You know, when I was getting ready to think about how we could make the most of our time together, I thought, you know, our task is really twofold. All of you ladies are in businesses where face-to-face intimate communication is so important. And of course, that's been difficult for you in this unfortunate pandemic. So we want to talk a little bit about, you know, the adjustments that you've had to make and that you probably are going to have to continue to make as we go into the future. But I think we also need to talk a little bit about the health and wellness of all of us. I've been reading some really challenging statistics, like one that says 88% of workers right now are experiencing moderate to extreme stress. 88%, that's many of us. So I do think it's important, while we have this opportunity with your great minds, to address some of those issues in the latter part of the program. But let's start out first with, you know, just talking about where you are now as far as your business, you know, the adjustments you've had to make and what's happening for you right now. And Shonda, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Well, yes, I think for many of us, it was one of those situations like we were with our kids as well, kind of leaving school for a weekend, thinking 2 weeks we'd be gone, we'd be out of the office. And so, you know, that felt pretty manageable, even though it was odd. And then obviously we've had to condition ourselves and accommodate to many months of this. But for me, it was pivoting to online therapy, which is certainly not ideal. As you're saying, one-on-one, there's so much to be said about being in the same room with someone. But, you know, over just a week or two, it wasn't so terrible of an adjustment. And it's certainly much better than we would have had without, you know, the contact of through a website, being able to see each other. There still is that intimacy. One thing that has been difficult for some of my patients is confidentiality. And so even if it's, you know, just to feel like they're in their house, and even if they have the space, which some people don't, having to go to their cars or go for a walk and do therapy in that way. So it's certainly not ideal, but we make it work, and it's certainly second best.
You know, Whitney, I know you've gone to online classes as well. In some ways, can you reach more people maybe who wouldn't want to come to the gym, Whitney, or are you kind of just trying to keep your current clients?
So the main focus obviously was to take care of our current clients when everything shifted and shut down. Within seconds, you know, of figuring out that we would have to physically shut our doors, we lent out 150 pieces of equipment to our clients because we knew a lot of them weren't equipped with what they needed at home. So we shipped with that first and foremost. And actually, throughout the weeks, we've gotten some corporate clients, larger corporations that needed, they saw the need for their employees that used to be in an office together, you know, working in a dynamic group setting, now in their homes, trying to juggle their children running in and out of their office, and their health was, and stress was, you know, deteriorating. So we actually got set up with some corporations, getting them started with fun challenges that could just get a little more health and wellness, obviously impacting not only their physical fitness, but also their mental health as well. So we've diversified a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Sharon, what sort of things have you done to adjust to what we can call the new normal?
Well, luckily for me, I work from home, so the adjustment has not been as striking as for other people who get out and go to work every day. But I had to change how I deal with my clients. It's no longer in person, so I'm online. And even though I did that before, because I have clients in other parts of the world, for my clients here, it was difficult for them because the things I do in my office, I could no longer do. Like I had some steps and programs that I take them through that were one-on-one that could not be transferred to the online setting. So I had to rewrite some stuff and try and moderate that so that their counseling sessions were still as impactful and helpful as possible. Yeah. And other than that, I think that was the main change I had to make. Just rewriting some programs and getting them adjusted to some new way of doing things, and it's working, thankfully.
Well, I think that we all need you all now more than ever, and I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit about that. You know, Shonda, the changes that are coming, the disappointments that we've had. You know, how do we all, whether we're employees, employers, you know, individuals, how do we move forward with vigor, with so much fear and uncertainty? You know, how do we not get overwhelmed by all of this?
Right. So a few points is we need to pause. And I always talk about stepping off our hamster wheel, and our hamster wheel really has changed in the past few months, because our hamster wheel may have once looked like running errands and carpooling and networking and meetings in and out of the office and all of these other outside responsibilities. And now a lot of it's, some of us, most of us are working from home and some of us aren't, but it's really changed what that looks like. But there's a lot of toggling back and forth and the schooling of the kids or the parenting at home. And so to know that we still need to step off that hamster wheel and offer a little bit of space to pause, because otherwise we make decisions, we lead, we keep going out of a place of fear and overwhelm, and we want to access calm. So when we are calm, then that's when we can tune into that bit of wisdom that helps us choose which direction we want to head more intentionally. And it comes from that wise place. And so it is about stepping off, pausing, noticing, acknowledging that it's hard, you know, so sometimes it's super overwhelming. And so to not push that down and pretend like it's not happening. And sometimes we push through that. So it's like, you could have this long day at work, whether it's home or you know, working from home or at the office, and we're exhausted because it's a different kind of stress on us. And what do we tend to do? We tend to just go grab the wine or the Ben and Jerry's or the Netflix. And so instead to pause and say, what is it that I'm really needing right now? What is the best next step? And acknowledging what's here. Maybe I'm bored, maybe I'm anxious, maybe I'm exhausted. And what can I do instead of those maybe unhealthy habits? And it's not to say there's not a place for Netflix and Ben and Jerry's, there is, but you know, first, maybe I reach out to a friend or take a walk, something that's a little more healthy and nurturing and deliberate, intentional.
And thank you for that, Shonda. Whitney, many of us like to go to the gym, right, when we're under stress. And that's been really hard for a lot of people because we are feeling a ton of stress and we can't go to the gym. So, what thoughts do you have for us? I know you can't open till we're in green. And so I know you probably have a lot going on in that you want to open, and without a blueprint for how this is done correctly, and a lot of people knocking on your door. So talk to us a little bit about, how you're going to be welcoming people back in and what advice you would have for how we can really start to get and move our bodies in the way that we want to again.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing when everything started was I told, especially my members at Liven Up to just lower your expectations of yourself. We are all of that noise and busyness in our lives kind of slowed down, and we were stuck in the silence and in the fear and the unknown. And, that's when depression, kind of came creeping in and all that good stuff. So the biggest message early on that I was trying to send to everyone was just lower your expectations. And if you're used to doing high intensity workouts 5 to 6 days a week, the reality of that occurring at home in, a spare bedroom or your living room with small kids running around or a dog, is just, it's not practical. So starting there, the transition for myself and, my employees opening up our fitness facility, we luckily have a larger square foot facility, around 7,000 square feet, and a much smaller membership base compared to other fitness facilities. And we do smaller group training sessions. So navigating the complexities of changing everything might be a little bit easier for us, but we're still going to face many challenges when opening our doors. And, again, keeping the hybrid of virtual training for our clients. One of the biggest messages I've been sending to people is, don't feel like you need to necessarily rush back to the gym if you're unsure of it. It's not something that you necessarily have to do. And then there's our clients that are like, what, just, can I break down the door? Do you have a key? Can you put it under a rock? But it's one of those things where something is better than nothing. And we know that doing anything, just a walk, is going to allow you to experience those hormones and, all of those great things that happen when you do physical fitness. So trying to meet everyone where they're at right now and how they feel and whether they have hesitations or not. We're here for them. We're here to serve our community. And we're just thankful for the opportunity to continue to do so.
Yeah. Thank you. And Sharon, so you're all about nutrition and what we should be eating and when, and we're all joking about the COVID-15, right? And
Yes.
maybe we didn't all make the best nutritional choices in the shelter in place. And so tell us a little bit about what you're seeing. Are you seeing some additional nutritional needs than before the pandemic? And what advice do you have for all of us?
What I'm seeing is anxiety eating. People are very stressed, and they're home now with children, and they have to provide more. And you're trying to let them try and get the healthy snacks and cook healthy meals. And at the same time, it is such a trying time that you talk more about anxiety and self-care, and how to separate yourself for a minute and leave the children for a while and go outside and just breathe. So what I'm finding that the counseling itself is a little different from the stick to this diet or stick to that diet. It's trying to make sure that they still incorporate the good vegetables and the good fruits and stuff, instead of buying popcorn or chips and stuff and take home, because that's comfort food for them. High carbs is comfort food. So trying to get them to still stick in some way to something healthy, but at the same time taking care of the anxiety and doing some self-care. Do your own pedicure. Take some time, just soak your feet in some warm water with some Epsom salts and just relax. Do the 5-4-7 breathing to just kind of reduce anxiety. So I find myself right now just giving them a lot of advice on that. I've done a couple cooking classes in the house, so just videoing that and showing them, cooking different things, easy things they can make for the kids, using how to use roasted beets, because a lot of people don't like beets and kids don't like beets, and trying to make them healthy, tasty so the kids can like them. So just making some adjustments like that has been really helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you know what, if I can put my Wisdom Coalition hat on, you know, we are constantly trying to stress, you know, trying to look at things in a positive way. And for you all as business owners, you know, if you take a look at business textbooks, and I was just reading one last night to prepare for this, and they were saying that, you know, as far as being a business, right, your core mission is the same, but you have to be constantly adjusting to what's happening around you, which is, of course, what we're all as business owners doing right now. Is you have to adjust, you have to adjust. Can you see an opportunity? You know, can you see, without a blueprint for how have we done this before, are you seeing any opportunities as business owners, Shonda?
Well, for me, it comes in the Beehive, which is my monthly online membership for women who want to play bigger. And that the foundation of that is, like I'm saying, to step off that hamster wheel so we can access that wisdom that you talk about and come from the place of calm instead of fear. And so we then are open when we calm our fight or flight down, when that's what we live in fight or flight, when we're stressed and overwhelmed. When we calm that reaction down, we can think more clearly and more innovatively. We can kind of see the long view. So sometimes it's helpful. We get so stuck in what's happening right in the moment, and to step back and say, okay, what about a year from now or 2 years from now, and get that long view, because we need to sort of step out of our own way. And also this idea of, wouldn't it be cool if, and just sort of brainstorm and you know, let the barriers of what feels so paralyzing right now to kind of fall away, to let ourselves journal or just sort of dream a little bit bigger, because that's where nuggets come in. We can't always, you know, make all of that happen, but that's where all this cool stuff shows up. And so to just be open to that. But first, we really need to come from a calm place.
Yeah, I like that. Whitney, what are your thoughts? Any opportunities that you can see?
Yeah, so obviously I mentioned earlier about our corporations that we've been working with, because they're not sure when they're going to kind of go back to in-person, you know, office work. But in addition to that, we've had a lot of our past clients become members again because we are offering the virtual training. So I actually saw this coming before we got in lockdown, because I had a member that reached out. She has since moved to Germany, and she was in lockdown, and she said, hey, you know, I need training. What are you guys doing? And I'm like, well, we're still open. And it was probably a week before we shut down. So that was really cool. We got to work with one of our clients that has moved down to New Orleans. So again, virtual training allows us to access a training platform all around the world, which we love. And then the other part of it, I've had members that, you know, are now reaching out saying, hey guys, we're getting closer to opening. Some of our members do go on vacations, they have summer homes, and they're going to continue their membership this year because we have a virtual training option where they can work with their coaches and continue on, whether, you know, no matter where they're at, whether they're physically in our club or they're at a summer home or in a different country. So it's very cool to be able to have that opportunity and grow that part of our company that we may have not done unless we needed the nudge through all of this.
Yeah, so interesting. Sharon, what do you think? What opportunities do you see?
Actually, I started a new company called Brain Centric Life, which focuses on online classes for brain health. So that's going, I mean, I'm in the process of writing the lessons now. So that starts July 9th, my birthday. So I'm going to launch it then. So I'm excited about that. And also brain health is so important now. Everything has changed. So the trauma that we've seen, especially Black and brown people, in terms of what has happened lately. And this is long term. And when we get out of this, they're going to need help. Seriously, serious help, because you cannot bury your people who have died in the same way that we're used to. So there's trauma there. And just the whole fact that you can't touch anyone like you used to. Hugs are like distance. So there's going to be a long-term effect of this whole COVID-19, and hopefully we'll have some changes with also what's happening with how people are treated, Black and brown people are treated, that we can really step into a new normal of understanding each other. And also with in terms of the brain, just having people understand how it works, how it really works, and what you eat really impact your long-term health, including your brain health. So that's where I'm going in the future.
I love that. So important. You know,
Mhm.
I love what you're all saying, and I'm thinking of unfortunately, now I've got my news hat on, I guess, because I'm thinking of the barriers, right? With the Wisdom Coalition, we're actually doing a podcast tomorrow about how can you still connect with people when you're wearing a mask, right? That's a good difficulty. You know, so what are some of the barriers that you see for your businesses? You have these opportunities that you're seeing, you're trying to adjust, you're trying to look for the hope and the new future, but what are the barriers that you think you're going to have to work around, Shonda?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, that really resonates with me when you're saying about the masks. You know, and that's fortunately when I'm online, I'm not dealing with that in one-on-one. So for me, it's not so. You know, I'm not feeling a whole lot of barriers. I have to be honest, thankfully, because I'm online, or at some point I will get back to the office and work one-on-one. And then for my online monthly membership, the Beehive, that's online. And so I'm not feeling that, although I feel it secondarily through my clients and people I'm talking to. And so whenever I'm at the grocery store or I'm out and about and I have that mask on, I still really make an effort to make eye contact and smile at people, because we can still see that little crinkle going on. And it's like, it's touching. I mean, I feel when somebody smiles back at me, it's like I feel that boom right in my heart. So I think that those little bits of acts of kindness, you know, are really important, no matter what our business looks like, what our interactions look like, because we can get caught up in, you know, sort of averting our eyes because we don't know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great point. Whitney, you have anything to add there?
You know, we are a fit fam. That's what we always, you know, call ourselves when we're talking about our community at Liven Up, and we're very nurturing, loving people. We're used to high fives and fist bumps and hugs and very physical connections. So, you know, to put that in the guidelines of when we do go back to, you know, physical in person. However, you know, for about 2 or 3 weeks before we got shut down, you know, we were learning how to cope with those barriers. But you know, personal training in general is a very physical art. You know, you're showing people where muscles are, you're touching parts of their body so they know how to move and adjust correctly. So just from a coaching standpoint for my team, learning how to do that in an acceptable distance, as well as just reminding and making sure that our culture knows, you know, we can't do the hugs or the fist bumps or the hands in quite yet. And who knows when it'll come back or if it will. But I think just to be able to, you know, physically be in the same space as everyone is going to feel real good, no matter what distance it is. So.
Absolutely. Sharon, you have some thoughts on that?
Not so much physical in terms of mass, but I think financially, I think there's a lot of people who are out of work, and a lot of the clients I serve, they need the information, and a lot of them don't have a lot of money to do some of this stuff. So just adjusting my program so I can meet them where they are, and having access to information that is not costly. That could, you know, that's part of what I plan on doing and making my adjustment. Thankfully, it's not about money. It's more about taking care of folks and making sure that they're getting the best information possible. So as Chandra said about the twinkle in the eye and stuff, just being friendly when you meet people, let them see, though you're not smiling, they can physically see you're smiling there, so it shows up in the rest of your face.
Awesome. You know, we were going to wait a little bit for questions, but we're getting a lot of awesome questions rolling in. So I'm going to start looping some of those in. You know, this is a great question. Somebody said, you know, my mother's 95 and living in a lockdown assisted living center in New York City that thankfully has not had COVID-related deaths. She is sequestered in her room, and my siblings and I cannot visit. It's been 3 months now, and she's getting very depressed. Although we do FaceTime. Anybody have any recommendations on how to deal with this issue? And I know I'm going through that too. My parents are in assisted living. It's really tough. So anybody want to jump in on that? Like, you know, what do you do for folks like that are isolated and alone and maybe not that savvy on the computer?
I say you start to write and send cards and send flowers. And I saw this guy who actually went to the place where they were and stood outside a window with a heart, you know, and the nurse took them to the window so they can see. So yeah, you know, it's difficult. It's really, really difficult, but you have to probably do, if you're free to go, make the extra effort so they can see you there as much as possible. I mean, you won't be able to touch them and stuff, but at least I'm sure it'll improve their heart just to know that you're there.
Yes. Anybody else want to add something to that?
I would add any rituals or celebrations that you can celebrate in a different way, and also maybe weekly appointments, let's say, so it's kind of like something that they can look forward to. So on a Thursday at 5, this is when we're going to FaceTime, and on a Monday I'm going to visit you, and then on a Wednesday you'll get a card from me. And so it's something like, you know, that structure, that connection, that continued just feeling seen and connected. But yeah, and also just acknowledging for the people who are hurting, who want to be with that person, you know, acknowledging how hard that is. And so acknowledging it, validating it, and then taking an action step. So there's something you can do. And a lot of little things really, really matter in those situations. So I would say too, just don't minimize the fact that you think you're not doing much. It feels like you're not doing much, but it really can mean the world.
Right. You know, Whitney, don't answer that one because I got another one for you. So this question's for you. So this person writes, since being in quarantine, I have not exercised, but I know I should. I have just lost motivation. How do I get it back?
Start small. A lot of people, again, that expectation of having the same fitness routine that you did before going into quarantine is just non-existent. You don't have the same schedules. You don't have the same flexibility. And you also don't have the physical spaces that you were provided before then. So creating a new normal for your fitness routine might look like just walks if you're not walking yet, which surprisingly does wonders when you're stressed, because high intensity exercise will release cortisol, which again is kind of counterintuitive to fat loss. So again, walking is a great start, especially if you're not doing anything. And then if you're someone that's used to working out 3 to 5 days per week, you know, shoot for a goal of at least getting 2 in or 1, and doing that for at least 2 to 3 weeks, you know, consistently, because our mind, you know, tends to be like all or nothing. But if we start small, gradual, you know, steps in the right direction, we tend to stay consistent with them and build upon them, because we're getting the results when it comes to just feeling better about ourselves, more confident about what we're doing, and the fact that it's realistic, you know, mentally for us to do those things. So I would say, again, doing short goals, maybe 1 to 2 days per week for the first few weeks, and shorter workouts too. I mean, 15, 20 minutes, if you could do a body weight circuit, you don't have any weights at home, you know, you can always reach out to Liven Up. We have great virtual programs right now, but start small and, you know, give yourself some grace and just, you know, leeway to have a different fitness routine, but have one because it's important.
Yeah. Great advice. And here's another question that I think is so important. This person asks, do you have any advice for a woman looking to start a business at this time, right? Imagine that, all these young people, you know, but young people coming out of college and that kind of thing, but whatever age we are, you know, this is a challenging time. So if we are trying to start a business now, anybody want to jump in on that one first for some thoughts on advice there?
I will. I mean, I think that it's a great time. Some of the greatest and most innovative businesses have been created during pandemics and times where there was a lot of turmoil and not a lot of people were thinking about it, because you really have to be dynamic and, you know, provide people with a new service that makes sense with the times. So I would go all in. I would definitely do it.
I definitely agree with that. And also, what probably one of the first things you can do is create an online survey of whatever your business is or what you're planning on doing, and send it out to your friends and family and people you don't know, and get the response and see see what they say. I mean, you'd be surprised how much information you can garner from a survey just asking the right questions. So yes, I would say jump in there. Make sure you do your marketing, your market research, and good luck.
Yeah. Good
And
advice.
I'd like to say I agree with Sharon and Wendy 100%. Do it and do your homework. But also what we know about women is that we tend to say, I'm not ready yet. I don't know enough yet. Who am I to? And we put all of these limiting beliefs in our way when it's like, we've got to just do it and just take a step, make a mistake. It's okay, and just try to be wise about those steps you're taking and take some action and absolutely do it. Awesome.
And this is another great question. How do you personally stay positive during this time? Why don't we start with you, Sharon? We'll go in the other direction.
Pilates twice a week. I have my gratitude morning that I do every morning, and warm lemon water first thing. Just realizing that I'm grateful to be alive, to live, to see all these changes that are happening in the world, good and bad, and having some measure of input that has changed, that will help others. So I'm big on gratitude. Gratitude changes your neural pathway in your brain. So it's a very important thing to do. And eat healthy. I do every day. Every day.
Whitney, what do you think?
I'm pretty sure Sharon stole my answer, but you've seen a lot throughout the last few weeks and months of finding the bright spots in your days. And obviously, I'm a mother of two young children, one who's 3, and she is extremely bossy, but I love her very much. And then I also have a now 10-month-old. And my husband and I obviously we're not used to watching the girls 24/7 in addition to running our company. And now my husband is also opening another company. So we're pretty busy in our business lives. But I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were having a conversation in the kitchen at about 11 a.m., a time when both of us would have never been home. And our 10-month-old started crawling, and I screamed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's crawling, and it was just like one of those moments where you took a second and was like, if we weren't in these circumstances, we would have probably never seen that. And a lot of those things we didn't necessarily get to experience with our firstborn. So again, finding the bright spots, and obviously, having your health and wellness routine and sticking to those things that keep you sane is very important.
Shonda?
Yes, and yes, all of those answers. And I love to step outside. I always say that to people, I think there's a lot of connection and hope and grounding when we just step outside or look out a window and ground ourselves in the larger world out there. It helps us get that bigger point of view. Seeing the long view, and coming back to those little moments to say what is good, because there's always good, and hanging on to the hope of looking for the helpers, and can we be the helpers, and what does that look like? It can be so simple. It can be reaching out to somebody on the phone, sending an email, but having a little bit of purpose in our lives is super important too. And so figuring out a way, even in the smallest ways, that we can have purpose and live that out.
Yeah, I like that. You all, we have another question that I want to pull up here, about the balance of the work and the home life. Right now, we're having to adjust so much to the way we're working and working from home, and the difficulty that I'm noticing in my personal life is like there's no separation between church and state, right? You're kind of like you're working and you're home and you're home and you're working. It's challenging, and then you've got many of us have children at home and those kind of things. So one of the questions here is just how are you balancing all this? Is it about a schedule? They're asking, do you stick to a schedule, or what do you do to try to balance the work and home life in light of these new challenges that we have? Why don't we start with Shonda?
Yeah, I see this a lot with women I work with, and it's that toggling back and forth in our attention that can be so incredibly exhausting. We can't focus on anything for an extended period of time. So yeah, I think a very flexible schedule can be really helpful with structure. So, you know, if two working parents at home who need to get something done, to say, this is my time, like, do not come and bother me. This is my time to focus so I can really get some work done. And that can feel so empowering to just have that focused time. And then, you know, your partner has the other, has another set of time. And like Whitney had talked about before, adjusting our expectations. So we are not going to get done everything we used to get done when we had childcare. I mean, you don't have childcare, so you're not going to, it's not going to happen. So, and I also talk about having a ritual sort of at the end of your day, sort of, this is the end of my workday. I'm going to shut down my computer. Maybe I sit and meditate. Maybe I light a candle. Maybe I grab a cup of tea, but it's like that signaling to my brain, I am shifting gears now. I'm going to be with my family, my spouse, whatever that looks like, so that it doesn't sort of bleed into the next, and we're kind of back and forth all the time.
And Whitney, I think you said you have little ones. So how are you balancing all this?
You know, communication is key, especially if you do have a partner that can help you out, and navigating those waters. You never want to get into a pattern of having to play whose time is more important, because everyone's time is important. So again, establishing those lines of communication, planning, you know, your days out so someone gets certain blocks, and again, being flexible if that needs to be changed around when things arise. And honestly, you know, I've been coaching some of our sessions, and my little one will run in every once in a while half naked, and we just go with it. You know, this is the other coach. She's with me. This is Luciana. She's ready to rock. And she, you know, it's cool. She gets to start doing squats and push-ups, and you gotta just take it for what it is.
As long as your husband doesn't run in half naked.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That would be a different kind of session, yes.
Sharon, what about you? Anything that you could advise us about the work-life balance right now?
Right now, my garden is my helper. That's my breathing space. So I would advise anyone, plant a couple tomato plants and watch them grow. Okay. And make sure you go outside barefoot. Just feel the earth. Let that energy get up in your body. And just make sure you get enough sunshine. I mean, there is nothing worse than being vitamin D deprived. And if you don't go outside in the sunshine, your body's not going to be making it. And it's really a precursor to a lot of the neurotransmitters that the body produces. So make sure, if you're not going outside a lot, which I advise you to do, make sure you're taking vitamin D supplements, because it really impacts how your body operates. Okay.
You know, I had a thought, this isn't a panel question or an audience question, but, you know, when you think about what we've all been through, I mean, this is a once in a lifetime, God willing, a once in a lifetime event that we're all going to remember, look back on, reflect upon. And maybe it's too early for you to answer this, but what do you think you've learned? You know, either, if you want to answer this, you know, what have you learned as a business owner? What have you learned about yourself as an individual, about life? Like, what have been the lessons here? Maybe we'll start with Shonda.
I think that the reminder that we're all so resilient, and that it's so important that we live in a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. Fixed mindset being, I'm stuck, this is happening to me, I have no control. When, of course, we don't always have control, but the growth mindset is, I'll figure it out. I'll figure something out, even if I don't know what that is right now, that I can. There is always something I can control. I need to figure out what that is and do something. So those reminders, I think.
Whitney?
So this has shed a lot of light on how noisy my life was before everything. And you know, as a business owner, an entrepreneur, a young mom, you're pulled in a lot of directions. You're putting out a lot of fires. You're answering to a lot of people, especially the bossy 3-year-old. And what I realized is that I do have the capability to slow things down and to really focus on those big rocks that you need to, and you will get things done. And actually, the noise and all of the things that kind of are thrown at you on a daily basis, if you set intentions to do certain things that, you know, are the most important, you'll find that you get a lot of more stuff done in a day than when you're just leaving yourself open to whatever is going to come at you. So I'm definitely learning to slow it down and, silence a lot of that noise that was in my life beforehand.
Sharon?
Yes. I think for me, it's that I found that human beings are very resilient. Look at the whole world. We just kind of like shifted back and then, adjusted, and we're getting ready to start moving again. And, that takes a lot to be able to turn that corner and still stand up. So I am in awe of human beings and the things that they can do. And, willing to do my part, I think, to help this change that we're going through come out better on the other end. So more community service, more giving of self, and more gratitude.
There's a question here that's kind of similar, but I still want to ask it anyway because I think it's interesting. This person asks, what is one positive that you've experienced through all this? And do you think that a change that you made will continue even when they say even when the ban is lifted? So even when, is there one thing in your life that you changed because of this that you think you'll stick with, in other words? Shonda, any thoughts on that?
I have to kind of echo what Whitney said about just whittling it down and, not the running and the putting out fires. So, kind of coming back to really being intentional about what we're saying yes to and taking on and bringing back into our lives. I think we have this opportunity when we start to reintegrate, what do we bring back in? And, not just fall back into those old habits. So I think this is a great opportunity for me and for all of us to do that.
Whitney or Sharon, you want to weigh in on this one too?
Honestly, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sharon. Go ahead, girl.
Yeah, I kind of feel just what Shonda said, is that my life was crazy before this. I mean, I traveled a lot, plus, just scheduling stuff. So really and truly kind of stopping and taking stock and saying, you know what, some of this stuff has got to go, because, we're so busy that we miss some of the real nuggets, and it's important now to grab onto the nuggets and hold on to them.
Yeah.
So
Whitney,
that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Whitney, did you have something too you want to add?
Yeah, you know what? I was just having a conversation with a member the other day, and they were talking with their husband at dinner. And, the husband had mentioned that, after his normal work life resumes, that he would actually be willing to take a pay cut to have the family time because he wasn't usually at dinner. So, that really resonated with me because as a small business owner, you don't always, family always isn't first, which is pretty awful to say, but you get really busy and you get sitters, and I had my mom stay a little bit longer. And I think it's important to be at dinner and sit down as a family and just enjoy those moments of talking about how was your day and, what were all the fun things you did. And I look forward to continuing those things throughout all of this.
Awesome answers. So there's a couple questions here that are sort of pointed toward you as individuals. So Whitney, here's a question for you. Will face masks be required during fitness training? And if so, how will that work?
So a lot of research has come out, especially with fitness and exercise, and they've found that the CO2 release within the face mask is actually counterintuitive, to everything. So we will not be requiring our clients to wear face masks. A lot of the open air workouts will be done throughout the summer. Again, ample social distancing, air purifiers have been installed in our facilities. And again, we're taking a lot of precautions. But when it comes to wearing a face mask while you're working out, again, science is telling us that it could lead to some serious effects when it comes to the CO2 release.
And for Sharon, any additional supplements that you would recommend that we take to take care of our brains and health during this time?
Yes, there is, but can CQ10 is one, and there's another one, N-acetylcholine, that helps with the brain. So I will get the proper names to the question holder. How can I do that? And yes, there are some other supplements that you can take to help with your brain.
Okay, okay.
Right.
And just quickly, Shonda, one final question for you. So what about the importance of women supporting women here? It's great that we're all here together. A couple words on that.
Well, that's kind of a big topic. I mean, I think, yes. And so how do we do that is reach out and don't be afraid to ask for help and ask for advice, because this was something I learned, and it's still not always easy for me, but to most people, when you reach out and say, hey, I've been thinking about this, can you weigh on this? Do you know this person? Whatever, you ask for help, you ask for advice. Most people really want to, are happy to help and happy to share their wisdom and make an introduction, whatever that is. So, so yes, can we be on the lookout for ways we can help other women? Yes, do that. And also don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help and connect and lift each other up. Be on the lookout for when we can say, hey, that was amazing. You did a great job with that. You know, whether it's on social media or an email or a phone call or a text, just, we know those little words can matter so much. And again, we forget that we have such, we can have such impact on other women. So, and that we hang on to those words, you know, we hang on to that, and that can really lift us up in a moment of when we're not feeling confident or strong.
Awesome. Well, ladies, I'm sorry, we're out of time. That went so fast. So
Yes.
Thank you so very much. And thank you to all of you for joining us. And I'm going to turn it back over to our program organizers now. Thank you.
Thank you for being a great
Thank
moderator.
you.
I want to thank you all for joining us today. My name is Annette Durniak. I'm the director of the Lehigh Valley LaunchBox. This was an amazing group of women. I hope everyone enjoyed hearing their stories of resilience and inspiration and, you know, advice on starting a business. There were just so many great takeaways for all of us. So I want to thank Nancy, Shonda, Sharon, and Whitney for joining us today. This was really a wonderful, wonderful program. So thank you. We have another program coming up on June 24th. It'll be focused on navigating the new normal in higher education. So we hope you'll join us for that as well. You'll hear from 3 leaders from local colleges, our own Dr. Richardson from Penn State Lehigh Valley, Dr. Elizabeth Mead from Cedar Crest, and Dr. Ann Bieber from L-Tri-C. So that will be a great panel also. Last, I want to thank Dr. Richardson for her inspiration in forming LaunchBox Ladies. It's just been a great group to bring together women interested in entrepreneurship and, you know, forging new paths in their careers. So thank you to her, and a special thank you to Ashley Russo for concepting our Navigating the New Normal series and for helping us bring it to life and for sponsoring it. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today, and to our amazing panelists, and have a great day.